Try and focus in the yellow here, not the right way. And I can
as opposed to the blue.
Right.
When I get out. The first time I went around.
I hate seeing this thing for this kind of stuff for the first time when I get here.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sorry, traffic. And then, and then sometimes I'll go south on Oak Hill.
What, where, when, and how? Schaefer, Johnston, and Lipton, Walter, that's just these engineers. Who's putting this up? What is this about?
I don't. I'm sure they're going to tell us.
Because we have a lot of time to do that. Jesus Christ. Like I said, I hate getting stuff the day of.
Well,
Yeah, that's true. You got triple whammy.
No, I really want to trust. I really, 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 really want to give every benefit of the doubt and trust. I do. I swear to God, I am not a troublemaker, but I'm having a hard time.
I am a troublemaker.
Well, that's true. You are a troublemaker. We all agree
I
with
talked with
that.
I talked with Jonathan. I think everybody got a copy of his letter, but I talked with Jonathan this afternoon. I told him this wasn't going to come off the first reading with Chris not here. So I said, don't bother coming tonight. We've all got your letter. If you want to come at the next meeting when we're going to actually probably have some more discussion about
I was never going to vote it out of first reading.
Jarrett. Yeah. I'm sorry. That's
How you, Siemens going to be up? Will you go with Siemens?
Yeah, I don't like the fact that a year ago we approved the letter, and where the hell's this been for a year, and now we have to pass it on first reading.
And we're going
So-
to pass that one on first reading too? I do not feel comfortable passing on first reading 75% tax abatement.
Well, the only
It
reason
does not make me
we
feel
did
good in my
we did
gut.
approve the letter in April of 2024 to recommend this to the Ohio Means Jobs. And by the way, if you go to their website, they counted this project as booked in success in 2024. So where the hell has the legislation been in the city? But nonetheless, because
We already voted on it
because-
last year, is what you're saying.
We voted on a recommendation to Ohio Jobs, who then give them the grant and approve the project.
And so
We should have had legislation shortly after that.
were we waiting on Ohio Means Jobs? Is that kind of the thing, or is it we just
That's
been
been
waiting?
done.
Oh, so we just been waiting
I'm
on?
going to ask what we've been waiting.
Okay,
That's a good question.
But I'm going to go ahead and approve it because they need to know by May 1st for their grant.
got it. All right.
Ran it down our throat again.
See, John, this is why. This is why. I can't trust you.
You got the best seat in the house.
Yeah, I'm just sitting out there. You guys do what you want.
Well, for which one?
Both.
Oh, so we won't be able to suspend.
Yeah.
So
We do business with Seaman.
Oh, shoot. So it won't matter. They're both going to have to stay on. It won't matter, Barb. He has to sit out on, and with Chris not being here, so we won't be able to
We do
suspend.
business with Seaman. And,
Oh,
you know,
okay.
Jared's
All
in
right.
warehousing, so
Okay.
I don't even.
How do
Yeah,
I,
you need a unanimous 6-0 to
how do
get
I,
it.
how do I look that up so I have like conflict on these tough issues I really want to? I know what it is. I won't run again.
It's all of my. Apparently, everybody we do business with wants to
Well, that's a good thing.
do something.
So I'm teasing you. I don't mean that, like,
Just means our industry's booming.
it is, and that's great.
Yeah.
And it's great for Worcester, so that's great for you guys, great for us.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Man, I'm really surprised that'd be a stretch for Seaman, though.
For what?
Do you personally work with Seaman?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I handled probably $2 million of their product.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's kind of.
Okay, that okay.
I used to sit on the board with their HR person, but I don't think that prevents a conflict. I get nothing,
Yeah.
no income, they're not a client, nothing like that.
No, they're specifically in my building.
Yeah, that does make a difference.
Yeah. And I think they've been. Jerry's
Right,
always
good
customer.
evening. It is after 7 p.m. Welcome to our regularly scheduled meeting of the Wooster City Council, being held this Monday, March 17th, 2025. Tonight's meeting is in council chambers and also live streamed on YouTube. And our next regularly scheduled meeting will be on Monday, April 7th, 2025. Mr. Scavelli, if you'll please call the roll on council members.
Mr. Abernathy.
Here.
Mr. Jaffe.
Here.
Mr. Jose.
Here.
Ms. Knappich.
Here.
Mr. Malta. Mr. Myers.
Here.
Ms. Warden.
Here.
Mr. Malta had informed us 2 weeks ago that he was not going to be here this evening. So with that, we still have a quorum, and the agenda will remain as presented. At this time, I'll ask everyone to stand and join the members of City Council in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So do I have an approval of our minutes from council for the meeting on March 3rd?
So moved.
So moved by
Second.
Mr. Knappich, seconded by Mr. Kuzai. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, minutes are approved. Communications from the mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President, and happy St. Patrick's Day to you and all council. We've got a bunch of materials in front of you tonight. Just a brief recap of what those are. And obviously they're for reference as part of the meeting and for take-home materials as well. The first is courtesy of John Rice. It's the detailed drawings on the peanut. And the thing that's new on this one, he's done the calculations of the amount of square footage involved in the various takings that are being proposed. Also, there's some net additions as well, so it shows both the proposed takings plus the rights-of-way that in many cases would be picked up because of the reconfiguration of where the sidewalks and the road would be. So I don't plan on going into that any more detail than that, just to say that information was completed with it since the time of our last meeting. We wanted to make it available to council. The other thing you'll see there is there were some emails that went out to council late in the day or throughout the day on one of the agenda items. And just because some of you may not have had a chance to look at those, we want to make those available to you, again, not just for tonight, but going forward. And then finally, I will touch on this in just a minute or two. We did get a new development into planning department this, I guess it was last week at this time, and we wanted to share some details on that, and again, I'll touch on that more in a second. So just since our last meeting, not as busy as a schedule as some, had a meeting with a local citizen who is involved in a development project in Africa and inquired about our Sister Cities program. And I know, and research says we've done that in the past, but it's been kind of on an unofficial basis. And if we move forward, it'll probably be more of the same. But it was an interesting concept, certainly a good project, and probably have more for council on this in the future on that. March 6th, I did my final state of the city address to Lions Club. I was a little disappointed that no council members showed up because I thought, the hearing it once probably wouldn't have been enough for you, but apparently it was because everybody stayed away, I think.
You were just so good. We got it.
And it has been preserved, I think, in YouTube, so if you really feel the need to go back, you have that ability. On the 11th, WDC, Wayne Economic Development Council, met at CFAS, had a good meeting out there. And then later that day, we did the swearing in of 3 new police officers at the Safety Service Center. I know a number of council people were there. Again, just one of the nice things to be able to do. Again, I don't know if this is an evidence of what a small world we live in or how old I'm getting to be, but one of the new officers was the grandson of Mrs. Roque, and those are Worcester residents, know that she taught Spanish forever in the Worcester City school system. And I went to school with this young man's uncle, so it's kind of neat to get to meet him. March 12th was the American Heart Association kickoff breakfast. The Wayne County Heart Walk is scheduled for September 26th. There's going to be opportunities to participate in that. You may want to mark your calendars now. You may have seen the pictures. March 12th, I was invited to be part of the ribbon cutting for the remodeled Burger King up on Burbank Road. I did wear the crown, brought it back for Andre. I think he still wears it around the office, and I brought him back a kid's meal as well, so made his day.
That's fun size.
The 13th, we had our quarterly meeting with the Wayne County Commissioners. That went well. All three commissioners were in attendance, as well as Patrick, I'm blanking on Patrick's name, Patrick Heron from the county. We had a nice meeting there. And again, we have several projects in the work that involve some mutual cooperation there, and things are still going well. On the 13th, and immediately following that meeting, in fact, we had to kind of duck out early, we had a Worcester Growth meeting, which we always try to keep you in the loop of what's going on at Worcester Growth. In this case, it's particularly relevant. First, Worcester Growth unanimously approved recommendations to council of the approval of an easy application from Jarrett Companies, and that's on your agenda tonight, and a CRA application from Seaman Corporation. That as well is on your agenda tonight. And just a reminder, what Worcester Growth does for Worcester City Council is just a recommendation, and council is free to take that recommendation or disregard it, and council has done both in the past, so there's certainly precedence to go either way on that. I do know tonight we have representatives here from both Seaman Corporation and Jarrett Companies, and glad to have you here. They also, Worcester Growth, accepted an offer from Last Arrow Manufacturing to purchase a 12-acre parcel off of Geyers Chapel Road that's is kind of landlocked and adjacent to a parcel that they already own. And apparently at one point there was a thought that we might be able to get a railroad siding into this property, but I guess that's no longer conceivable. So it turned out not to have maybe the value that Worcester Growth thought it had. So that looks like that's going to take place. And then the last thing I had is this afternoon we had a meeting with Direction Home, which is a division of Area Agency on Aging. And Phil Tursky, Jonathan Millay, and Ashley Hirschberger and I met with them. And it's a four-county agency, or Area Agency on Aging is a statewide organization, but the branch that we work with that serves Wayne County is Wayne, Portage, Stark, and Summit, and they're looking to do more or become more visible in Wayne County. And Phil and Jonathan would have maybe their different take on this, but I think it was a good meeting. They offer a good set of services. I think they were very complimentary to what we are already offering, but they want to increase their visibility, and we want to give them every opportunity to do that. So looking ahead, we just have a few things coming up in the next couple of weeks. I think the Easter break is going to be on us soon, which affects all of this. There's a United Way grant ceremony on the 25th. March 27th, I'm sure you all received invites for Tim and A's retirement open house. If not, we need to get that out. March 28th, the American Heritage Girl Scouts will be visiting City Hall, so we're looking forward to that. And that same day, we have the Community Corrections Board meeting. And then April 4th, the CFAS is having their State of the College event, and Joel and I will be in attendance for that. Agenda review, 9 items of new business. Only items 2, 5, and 6 require 3 readings. I am going to ask council to consider expediting all 3 of those. ODOT, Jarrett Companies, and Seaman Corporation are the respective parties involved in those 3 items, and I know they're all anxious to move forward as quickly as possible. WEDC has added their support to those 2 requests. I know we're down a member tonight, and one of those requests there's been quite a lot of chatter today over that, so whether or not we suspend the rules tonight or not, would ask that council consider disposing of those items of business next council meeting at the latest. I think I'll leave that at that. Also, the other item I'd ask you to circle on the agenda is the very last item, which is Mr. Myers, I believe, on the traffic, transportation piece, and we have Kevin here with us tonight, and that's one that we'd also like to move forward with sooner rather than later. The final thing I want to refer you to, again, is one of the handouts I mentioned. This is a Weaver Custom Homes project. The first sheet shows where the location of this is. It's up northeast of Wooster High School campus, and the preliminary plan calls for 84 new units. And again, a reminder, this is just what's been turned into the planning department, and as it works its way through the system, a lot of things can change, so I don't give this to you a representation of what the final product is going to look like, but it just is confirmation that we do have new building units in the system on their way, working their way through. The first page shows the development, the location. The second shows the preliminary development plan. And the third page is the Oak Hill TIF district summary from December of 2021. And the last item is the one I really want to draw your attention to right now. The purpose of that TIF was not only to address existing infrastructure needs, but also to open up that area for development, particularly housing. And it's been really a great success to this point, and I think council and administration, and really I have more council involvement in that than administration involvement, because much of that was in play before I took office as mayor. But it's really done exactly what we hoped it to do. We have 91 new homes in place in the Spring Run development or under construction. We're looking at 80-plus homes in this new Weaver development. And next year, we expect that Harsex development moving forward. That's the one on the north side of Middletown, west of Lowe's, with more than 300 units. So that's approximately 500 new residential units within a half mile of each other. And the traffic engineers will tell you that means approximately 3,000 additional trips generated by those new homes. So again, I know we're beating this to death, but the idea that we can get by with doing nothing with the Oldman-Winkler-Burbank intersection is at best wishful thinking, and we can either choose to address the issue now, or we can choose to wait until it is obvious to all that we have a problem and then deal with it then. So I know everybody's head's about to explode when I bring up the peanut, so to atone for making you listen to that, I do have a good way to end my presentation, and with that, I'm going to turn to Mr. Rotolo, and Chief, please give us an update.
President Sanders, members of council, and all of you tonight, I do have some good news. So Chief Fisher actually got stepped down today from the ICU. Moved him down the hall. He's still at Wexner Medical Center, but he's no longer in the ICU, and that's absolutely fantastic. He's doing better. He's still got a long road ahead of him, but I guess the best way I can describe it, though, he's just got a few less bumps right now. But I just want to thank everybody in the community, and really all of you in this room as well, for your support of our department and him. It's appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
All right, well, next item is petitions. We have no communications from the public related to agenda items, but we do have a petition for a liquor control request. I'm going to read that for us, Mr. Scavelli.
Liquor control request for a new D5L license for the Excelsior Room on 144 West Liberty Street.
And as usual, we have three choices that the state would ask us to either hold a hearing in Columbus, either hold a hearing in our county seat, or not to request a hearing at all. Do I have a motion of any of those three options?
Motion to waive hearing.
Motion to waive hearing, is there a second? Second by Mr. Abernathy.
Got a point of question. Isn't this, I'm trying to remember how the liquor license work. Isn't this part of the downtown area district where there's not like a limited amount of liquor license? It can be as many as apply for? Isn't that in kind of like that downtown area that it's under a blanket of, there's not like a limited number of liquor license for that anymore?
Different types, and I don't.
Is that what it is? Okay.
Like a D5L or something, I can't remember the details.
Okay.
But there's one
This appears to be a new one, or at least a name change, but I was just curious.
Some of them are alcohol, some of them are wine and beer, some of them are alcohol,
Okay.
wine and beer. And I guess my question on this was, and not that it's still open, but this is part of the Spoon, right? Or are
No.
they two separate?
No. It's a separate owner.
Spoon has its own license. so it's
Correct.
Two separate entities?
This is the owner of the building who owns the second and third floors.
Okay, gotcha, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, so with that, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor of not requesting a hearing signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We will not request a hearing. We have no committee reports, we have no public hearing.
Mr. President?
Yes,
As
sir.
far as committees, I do need to request a meeting for the Finance Committee, though. I need to request a meeting for April 21st at 6 PM.
And that's for our first quarter update from Andre and the,
Yes, sir.
or Mr. Doherty and the rest of the admin.
Yes, sir.
All right. Very good. 21st, 6 PM. All right. We have no unfinished business, so we'll move right on to new business with our first resolution that will be introduced by Ms. Warden. But we'll let Mr. Scavelli read it for us first, please.
Resolution number 2025-19, a resolution authorizing the Director of Administration to enter into a cooperative agreement with the Ohio Department of Transportation for systematic sign replacements along US Route 30 within the city of Worcester and allowing for immediate enactment.
Ms. Warden, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So ODOT is planning to replace lines along Route 30 as needed, and some of these are located within the city's boundaries. There's no cost to the city for this project, aside from any additional construction items that might be requested by us. And this is a pretty standard request, and if there's any questions, Mr. Rice is here. I think it's pretty boilerplate, though. So I would make a motion to adopt. Oh, do I have to?
Yeah. we
Yeah,
need to
sorry.
suspend the rules.
We're going to make a motion to suspend the rules.
Motion to suspend the
Second.
rules, second by Mr. Abernathy. Mr. Scavelli, please call the roll on the,
Ms. Warden,
Yep.
Ms. Knappich,
Yes,
Mr. Abernathy.
Yes.
Mr. Myers,
Yes.
Mr. Malta, not here. Okay, and Mr. Gaffey,
Yes.
Mr. Huzay.
Yes.
okay.
Okay, now I'd like to motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Abernathy.
I have a question. When, this is pretty straightforward, but when did we receive the request from ODOT? Because we're having to pass this on one reading. It doesn't really matter for this, but I was just.
We don't have
Yeah.
to.
No, it's okay. That's just, I need.
I think it was just after the deadline for submitting agenda requests for this meeting, literally. It was,
This happens a lot to us.
From ODOT?
Doesn't care about what our meeting
Yeah.
schedule is, and we've tried to talk them into, can you wait, and they're just usually, no, this is our.
This is what we need.
yeah, so I didn't sit on it for a while, trust me. It was, we got it on the agenda right when it came in.
Thank you. Well, there's one later on the agenda that I'm trying to figure out why we waited a year, so I appreciate you, that you got right on. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. We have a motion and a second.
Ms. Warden,
Yes.
Ms. Knappich,
yes,
Mr. Abernathy,
Yes.
Mr. Myers,
Yes.
Mr. Malta, Mr. Gaffey,
Yes.
Mr. Huzay.
Yes.
Okay. Resolution is approved. Next resolution will also be introduced by Ms. Warden. Mr. Scavelli, if you'll please read it for us.
A final resolution, resolution number 2025-20, a final resolution authorizing the Director of Administration to enter into an agreement with the State of Ohio to construct a single-lane roundabout at State Route 585 and Geyers Chapel Road and allowing for immediate enactment.
Ms. Warden, the floor is yours.
Thank you. ODOT will be constructing a single-lane roundabout at the intersection of 585 and Geyers Chapel Road, and a portion of this intersection is located within the corporation limits, and so council approval is requested. The city is only required to contribute to this project, should cost exceed the current allotted amount, which is $2,562,650. Current construction estimates are about $200,000 less than that, so we don't anticipate the city having to fork over any of our taxpayer dollars for this project. And ODOT wants to start the bidding process soon, which is why they've requested that we do pass this legislation tonight if we choose to do so. And so I will motion to suspend the rules and place this on third and final reading.
Motion to suspend the rules, is there a second?
Question, I realize that the estimates are lower than the current projections, but the way I read the legislation is if it goes over the 2,562,000, we'll be on the hook for whatever amount over that is.
That's correct, up to.
So kind of a blank check, if they go over, we pay it?
Well,
I don't think I want to authorize that.
That was a question that I had also, and the language is the city will be only required to contribute to the cost. Is it contribute to the cost or pick up the full cost over what they're estimating?
There is a maximum in there.
I will say most of the time, when we've done these projects, ODOT's only covered 80 to 90%, so they bumped it up to 100%.
And I did notice that when I looked at comparisons, they've been less than this, but that was my concern as well.
I think it reads up to a maximum cost of $545,000.
right.
John, they've already bid this out, correct?
No, they will be bidding it out next month, yeah. So
So the most we could be paying is 500,000.
545,000, yes, and that's if it's over 2.5 million, and currently their construction cost estimate is 2.3 million. So if the bids come in at or below that construction cost estimate,
So they'd have to miss by about 800,000.
yeah, that's they'd have to miss by 200, looks like, because it's 2 point.
It's just,
Well, meaning the max would be they
The
miss
max
by a
would be
little bit. and then-
Anything, if they miss it by 200, we pay, if they miss it by 300, we pay 100, if they miss it by 400, we pay 200. I
Yeah,
get
so
your point. It's
the
just math.
spread is 800,000.
Right, the max, to the maximum.
and just a little background on this, I spoke with Mr. Rice today about some other questions relating to this particular location, and he looked into it, and the city council, or city, was actually the one to initiate this roundabout request a few years ago. And so the fact that ODOT is willing to fund the bulk of it is remarkable. And this is actually a safety concern, not a congestion concern, because I thought, well, it's not super busy there, but John said there have been a number of accidents at that particular intersection, which has been the impetus for why we're doing a roundabout there.
Yeah, within a 4-year period, I pulled the application. I wanted some background on this as well because I didn't put the application together. But yeah, there were 21 crashes within a 4-year period. And not every intersection qualifies for the ODOT safety funds. It has to meet certain criteria, which this intersection did. And it's a competitive program to get these safety funds. So we applied, we were awarded, and initially, we were required to, or it looked like we were going to have to contribute some funds for this. But after they got their final estimate, design done, as it stands, we currently don't have to contribute anything. And we spoke in detail on the phone a little more, and like I explained, this intersection, if we would not do anything now, and with the growth in that area, it's likely that in the future, a traffic signal would be warranted up there. And at that time, it would be on the city to, at a minimum, put in a traffic signal and ideally construct a roundabout. Well, then who would be paying that $2.5 million? Of course, by then it's going to be more than that. That would fall upon us. So this is a good deal.
And this makes sense too, because with the growth out there, there's so many more semis that are coming through that intersection. I live close to there, and I'm out that way quite a bit, and the traffic has picked up exponentially over the last several years, and it's been big traffic, so.
Yeah, so this would be comparable, I would say, to like the Smithville Western and Route 83 roundabout, and really that was safety-driven, little higher speed and more volume with the state route, and like you say, semis. So one of those angle collisions with the semi going 55 on 585, yeah, that does not end well, so that's. Take any other questions if there's anything.
John, what's the construction schedule for this? Like, when are they looking to break ground?
They're looking to start, it'll be like end of May, and they have a deadline of middle of September.
Okay.
So it'll be a summer construction project.
Question is, I'm trying to remember, is that going to interfere at all with traffic going into Daisy and Scheffler and all? So, because I'm trying to think how that's going to alter traffic for them going into there. Not that it's going to matter, it's going to happen regardless, but that could significantly affect traffic coming out of the east.
I think they
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
go Smithville Western Road.
Daisy Brand was actually the impetus for the city initially approaching ODOT.
Jonathan, it was actually more than that. We initially, because it was Daisy, it was Tech 4, it was all the way south as well that were using that. So we were being asked several years in a row to look into this. And that's when we started asking ODOT, hey, we're getting questions, we know the traffic's going up. So it wasn't just Daisy, we had several businesses there that were asking us to look into it. And not until it reached a certain level that ODOT responded, yeah, we agree now.
Yeah, I start to think about big trucks starting to get on country roads.
So part of the project, part of what ODOT will require is we'll have to have finalized a detour route and anything that goes along with that. So if the detour route is somewhere where it's a narrow intersection, then part of the project is temporary, widening or temporary pavement so the trucks can make stuff. And so we won't even be able to bid it out until that is actually worked out.
Okay.
The official detour will be on state US routes, but like Joel said, there are local routes, and the nice thing is during construction, the contractor typically is required to maintain those local routes if the extra traffic causes damage to them.
I would assume, I'd have to assume it would probably be all the way back to 57 as if we're going to try and keep them on state routes.
Yeah, I think it's 57 and 30.
Okay.
I mean, you can ask, I don't know, I don't care.
They'll probably ignore that.
This is your,
Yeah,
And
I know.
they might try to take
Bird.
maybe Apple Creek Road.
Well,
I
that's
don't.
the signed detour. But yes, that's exactly why they have a local route that they also designate
we
and keep an
could
eye
take
on it, like I
longer.
said, because they know there's going to be
And ask
people
him.
using that, and it'll see increased traffic and the potential for damage.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
And any way you look at it, they're gonna have to use at least Geyer's Chapel Road, which somehow they have to get there.
Correct.
So it's gonna be, it's gonna be congested on, I'd say, Smithville Western, Geyer's Chapel Road, right where I ride my bike every night in the summertime. Thank you very much.
But in the end, it'll be,
It will be better, it will be better.
Well, with Daisy Way, they can always come up 585 Old Airport to Scheffler and also to Daisy. So they can come in that way as well.
Yeah.
That would be
That's
okay.
true. From 30.
Yeah.
Any further discussion, questions?
I mean, I'll ask, Mr. Myers wants to know why this hasn't been presented for earlier consideration.
No, I'm okay to support it. I just wondered why we had to pass it on one reading.
This was another one that we got from ODOT, and
That's their deadline.
yeah.
And since they're paying 100%, I say let's go for it.
Well, and it's not like this is a surprise. This isn't like this is the first time that ODOT's dropped this bomb on our lap. I mean, they do this just about every time they submit anything. So, I mean, to get cantankerous over the fact that we got to pass it on the first reading when we're getting, $2.3 million for free, I'm not so sure that's necessarily worth the effort that we've just had in discussion.
I've asked them politely before, can you give us a little more warning? Can you at least let us know what's coming? And
I understand, because at this point, I mean, not only have I dealt with that for years, I've also dealt with the Mental Health Board and a couple other state agencies at this point. They don't care what our schedule is, they only care what their schedule is. So at the end of the day, if we're gonna take their money,
Right.
you gotta kind of play the game.
if we take their money, we'll adhere to their schedule.
Exactly.
No, I think the point is that there are a lot of these that are, my point is there are a number of these that are beyond our control, that we're going to get deadlines that are enforced on us, but then there are others that are within our control that we should take time on, but not one that we get a forced mandate from ODOT, I agree.
I will point out, we've tried to, as we've had discussions, as this has been coming forward, you know, when we do our biweekly updates, we try to include information in there. So one of those items I know John has put in several of our updates is, you know, we're working with ODOT on the 585 and Guyers Chapel, you know, intersection and those kind of, I mean, not a ton of detail, but just letting you know that, hey, this is coming, we're working with them, even though there's nothing official that we had to present.
Okay. Well, we have a motion,
I'll second it.
seconded by Mr. Gaffey. Mr. Gavelli, call the roll on the motion to adopt?
Mr. Gaffey,
Yes.
Ms. Knappich,
Yes.
Mr. Maltz is not here, Mr. Myers.
Yes.
Mr. Huzay,
Yes.
Ms. Warden,
Yes.
Mr. Abernathy.
Yes.
Okay. Resolution has been approved. Was that the suspension? No, that was the suspension, my apologies.
No, thanks. Yeah, I have more to say.
Okay.
I make a motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Myers.
All right,
Now we'll call the,
Mr. Gaffey,
Yes.
Ms. Knappich,
Yes.
Mr. Maltz is not here, Mr. Myers.
Yes.
Mr. Huzay,
Yes.
Ms. Warden,
Yes.
Mr. Abernathy.
Yes.
okay. Resolution is approved. Next resolution will be introduced by Ms. Knappich and Mr. Malta's absence, but before that, Mr. Scavelli, if you'll please read it for us.
Resolution number 2025-21, a resolution authorizing the Director of Administration to advertise according to law and to enter into a contract with the lowest and best bidder for the Diamond Alley Sanitary Sewer Replacement Project and allowing for immediate enactment.
Okay, Ms. Knappich, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you very much. This is a resolution to replace a clay sanitary sewer. It's in poor condition. It's in the Diamond Alley, and I had to contact John because I was trying to figure out east, west, north. It's on the southern side of Liberty Street. And one of the reasons why we need to do this is because it is an old vitrified clay sanitary sewer. Those are stone rolled up, it's not in good shape. And, correct me if I'm wrong, John, but that we'll be able to tie in other, plug in many unused laterals that will be able to be used as a source of infiltration and inflow into the sanitary sewer system. I'm assuming tying those in will make it much more efficient and the flow better?
Well, actually, it's opposite. There's lateral, that's all right,
Maybe I
that's
should
all
have
right.
talked to you more before.
That's all right. So there's a lot of laterals along there, like, okay, so if you go off of Buckeye Street, you turn down Diamond Alley, and the parking lot would be on the left-hand side. So there are laterals that are stubbed out into that parking lot from a long time ago. Well, those laterals, inevitably, they're in the same they have the same condition as the main that we're replacing, so they're probably letting some groundwater into our sanitary sewer that we do lining projects and other projects to keep that groundwater out of the sanitary sewer. So by simply disconnecting those unused laterals, it'll help keep that groundwater out of our sanitary sewer system. So there's quite a few of them like that, they're unused, there were buildings there before, now they're not. So we can plug those as part of this project, so receive a dual benefit to better serve the wastewater laterals that are connected, and also get rid of those unused laterals that are putting groundwater in that we don't want in our sanitary sewer.
I literally could not have explained it better myself. Thank you
Okay.
very much, I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I will make a motion to, do we need a motion to suspend the rules on this?
No, it's budgeted,
Yeah,
so.
I thought it was budgeted. And I am going to make a motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt by Ms. Knappich, is there a second? Second by Mr. Huzay. Mrs. Scavelli, please call the roll.
Okay, Mr. Malta's not here. Mr. Abernathy?
Yes.
Mr. Gaffey?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Bouvet?
Yes.
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
And Ms. Knappich?
Yes,
Okay, our next resolution, 2025-22, will also be introduced by Ms. Knappich. But Mr. Scavelli, if you can read it for us, please.
A resolution authorizing the Director of Administration to advertise according to law and enter into a contract with the lowest and best bidder for the West Milltown Road Sanitary Sewer Improvement Project and allowing for immediate enactment.
This is also a budgeted item. Ms. Knappich, the floor is yours.
yes, thank you. This is just authorizing the advertisement for bids, entering into a contract for the West Milltown Road sanitary sewer improvements. This is to take place at the Deer Creek Lift Station at the south end of Inverness Drive and West Milltown Road. This will increase the sanitary sewer capacity to accommodate the imminent future development of this area. Obviously, with some of these great projects that we've got going, we need to improve these, and we need to make sure that we have adequate sewer resources for upcoming growth. We've discussed this in the past. It's been budgeted, so I would make a motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt by Ms. Knappich. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Abernathy. Mr. Scavelli, please call the motion to adopt.
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Huzay?
Yes.
Mr. Abernathy?
Yes.
Mr. Gaffey?
Yes.
Mr. Malta is not here. Ms. Knappich?
Yes,
And Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Our next item will be introduced by Mr. Abernathy. Ordinance 2025-03.
Bye.
But before that, Mr. Scavelli, if you'll please read it for us.
Ordinance number 2025-03, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an enterprise zone agreement with Jarrett Companies and J Warehouse LLC for certain tax incentives and allowing for immediate enactment.
Before I turn it over to Mr. Abernathy, Mr. Huzay is going to recuse himself.
Yes, Mr. President, this one and I believe the next one.
Okay, very good. And I will say for public record that this particular ordinance, I have some involvement with, or at least my employer has some involvement with, so I will just sit here quietly and listen to the conversation. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Abernathy.
Thank you. So this is a opportunity for Jarrett Companies to come into Worcester, brought to us by the WEDC, requesting a 10-year, 75% tax exemption. They're going to be investing $19.5 million to construct a new 402,000 square foot warehouse and logistics facility to serve a national market. So they are telling us they're going to bring 30 new full-time jobs with $1 million in new payroll. So this is a pretty big project. Worcester Growth talked about this extensively. This has also been quite the conversation going around today as well. So rather than me kind of blabber on about kind of just what is the nuts and bolts about it, I'd like to open it up to anybody from the city and on council that would like to discuss the CRA plus the adjacent real estate purchase that would go along with this. Jonathan, would you like to lead it off?
Sure, yeah, I can give a brief introduction. As you stated, this would be a 402,500 square foot warehouse. This project came to us from WEDC urgently because this project was originally slated to take place in Wayne County. It had a couple of requirements. It needed space to accommodate at least 2 warehouses of this size. There is some additional investment that is being, that it's taking place in Wayne County as a result of this project or alongside this. Jared is a national-based logistics provider, so while this component is the warehousing piece serving national customers, probably a fair bit of, and I'll allow Mr. Matt Teratani to correct me, who's here today, but a fair bit of their work is in information technology and actually coordinating all of the freight forwarding throughout the nation of the customers that they serve. So in any event, we received this project because the current facility, or the current site that they had originally intended for the property could not meet their clean energy requirements. So Worcester uniquely, because of our relationship with AEP, is able to support and promote clean energy. This particular facility, or facilities, the second is not committed, but it's a desire, and that's the reason for the need for the space, would be equipped with a solar array on the top of the building. So unlike gobbling up land for solar arrays, this one efficiently puts it on top of the structure. In order to do that, you need to have a utility that cooperates with you to allow you to obtain credit for the use of that. So AEP happens to serve this portion of our city and was willing to do that. The real estate lends itself to that type of development. If the first and second phase were to be built, this would be the third. This would be our third largest site in the city in terms of square footage for a single property. That said, going forward, the question is how to finance and move forward with it. So they are requesting a 75% 10-year enterprise zone, as we provided to Daisy Brand, to the Worcester Brush Company, that was CRA, and to the and to Scheffler Group further south. This makes the cost difference of developing here, it helps to make it more competitive, and again, the purpose of the exemption is to free up some capital in that first 10 years so that firms can continue to make, can cover the debt service here. In this case, it would be around $20 million. The property is being acquired from Worcester Growth Corporation at approximately $28,000 per acre. That will reimburse our costs for the initial acquisition. We've utilized some grants along with investment to help enable the construction of Daisy Road in the past, and a lot of private investment as well. So this is able to utilize that opportunity. WDC was particularly concerned about being able to keep this project within Wayne County because, again, this is a company that has been growing. It has a core base of employment within Wayne County, but the customers are nationwide. And so there are some other sites outside of Ohio, potentially, but also within Ohio in closer markets that if necessary, that would be the next step. This was an opportunity to keep the project in Wayne County and still be able to possibly do it within this year. So with that time frame being able to possibly be met with this site, they engaged Worcester Growth, and with the EZ piece of it, again, another note, this is in a special hybrid area that we worked with our local schools on. That brought this territory into the Wooster City School District. So while under exemption, and because of how this particular district's millage works, we would be able to see for Worcester City School District a direct impact of $71,000 to $90,000 a year of property tax gain with this project, and then after the exemption, post-project, they would be looking at between roughly $250,000 and $300,000. I'm sorry, that's Green Local School District's figures that I gave you. So our neighboring school district, Worcester City, would receive a similar, slightly less amount than that. But in total, for the community, this provides a sizable gain of approximately $179,000 total when you add those together. of new revenues coming into the community, between 179 and 224,000, and then post-project figure would be looking at closer to 400,000 to 533,000. So those are the financial figures. You can see we've detailed them in the back. Our school districts told us that they really appreciated this. They were also involved in the conversation with Worcester Growth Corporation, having them in there. And from a staff perspective, again, recommending it for its, community local fiscal impacts, and basically the need to competitively, lower the operational costs in relation to the out-of-area opportunities. And then we're looking at the long-term opportunity to retain this organization's core operations in Wayne County. We've had this conversation with other manufacturers in town, actually at this specific Daisy Way location, where in the past they were looking at trying to find viable sites and for warehousing that would take some of their operations and focus outside of the county or outside of the region. And so this is an opportunity to retain it, and that's why WDC approached us. And after going through that analysis and looking at where things are, this seemed as though that this would be a really good win for the community.
Thank you. Anyone from council have any additional questions, comments?
I've got a comment. I want to let Jared, logistics know, I very much support the project. I think it's going to be a great add to our area. And your company's been in Orville for a long time, and I've spent a lot of time over there. I think it's a great organization, and look forward to having you guys in Worcester working with us as well. I have some concerns about how this was put together, and it have nothing to do with your application or what you guys want to accomplish. So I just want to let you know I support what you guys are trying to do. I just want to probably vote to leave this on first tonight so that Mr. Malta can join us. But my questions are not regarding the company. It's just our process here internally.
Yeah, we're going to have no choice but to leave it on first since we don't have the supermajority. Ms. Knappich, you.
I would reiterate what Mr. Meyer said. I think this is a great project. I think it would be something really good for Worcester. I still have a lot of questions that not that I haven't been bombarding the administration with questions since I got this on the agenda on Wednesday, and I appreciate you getting back to me with everything. I still have some more questions. It looks like a really good project, and I know it's a really great company. But quite frankly, if you know me and you know I've been on city council for a long time, I am very, very, very reluctant to ever suspend the rules and vote on something that we haven't budgeted already. And this is a lot of money we're talking about. I just think that we need to give citizens of Worcester an opportunity to just know what's going on and it's out there. That doesn't mean I won't vote for it, suspend the rules next time around, but again, I still have some questions.
Mr. Gaffey, anything?
I was just going to say, one of the questions I had was just, regarding some of the comments that were brought up about the size of the acreage and maybe opportunity to divide it or split it between different things, and I think Jonathan we were kind of having a conversation prior here, just that there's some challenges with the one side of that allotment, correct?
Correct,
Do you
yeah. Sure, yeah.
You want to fill that in? I think it'd be helpful.
Sure, yeah. Since this weekend, we received a letter with another company suggesting that they would be interested in a portion of the site. We have had this listed for quite some time. The western part of the site is where we depict the warehouse within the summary map. The second warehouse would have an east-west orientation, taking advantage of that northeast corner of our Worcester Innovation Park. When you get to the southeast corner, we run into some challenging terrain, and this has impacted conversations we've had with other people who have looked at the site This isn't the first time we've brought a proposal for development here. The terrain becomes a little problematic. Another issue is the utilities. So we do have sanitary sewer at the southwest corner of the site, but because of that terrain difference, in order to provide sanitary sewer to the southeast portion, it would require approximately a 3,700-foot sanitary sewer extension. Now, if we're developing that on private standards with just serving a local need, particularly a warehouse that would be internal and managed by that company, that's a manageable endeavor. For us, especially at Wooster Growth, when we're looking at making an investment, we would be looking in the neighborhood of about $400,000 to make that 3,700 sanitary sewer extension. Basically, we'd be running up the entire west side of the site and then running across the entire north. That would come up to our 3,700 footprint. So that factors into the cost as well. So I know cost was a couple of questions that came into play. We previously had some other firms. One of them was an associate of Federal Express approach us. They had wanted to possibly utilize a portion of the site. Wooster Growth advised that since there were other properties that would fit their specific build, which is a $200,000 building, a beautiful structure, and it did succeed, but they did that with an adjacent property owner on the other side of Old Airport Road. But one of the concerns we had there was they had wanted us to split this site, and so that leaves us with, in order to make that eastern half a utilitied site, we would have to invest substantial funds, or we would have to sell it at a discount. So with the price point that we were offered, $28,000, factoring that in over the balance of what is readily shovel-ready and what would require that utility extension, it made a lot of sense to move forward. And we've always marketed it as a single site for that reason. There are other 30-acre, 20-acre sites. We don't necessarily want to compete with the private market. That's not the purpose of Wooster Growth. We were here to provide a need for those projects that really need to have ample acreage that our private market wasn't providing. With this project, of course, this would take this site offline. We do have our 56-acre site to the extreme west along Old Airport Road. That remains viable for some smaller projects, and that is a Team Neo authenticated right site that we have listed and advertised there. The difference between the two is the scope of the environmental review that has been conducted. There's been approximately $100,000 worth of environmental studies on this site. We haven't done as much on the other, so that's one of the reasons why that authentication level is a little different.
Okay,
We have been, in consulting with WDC, we've been marketing this as an authenticated site for years. We've submitted it to multiple leads, had a couple site visits. We have not gotten this far before with an actual taker, and in this case, and as we've seen with our other, all of our other projects here, it's turned out to be a local business wanting to stay, wanting to invest in our community, and that is the story as to how this came to be.
Thank you, Jonathan. Ms. Warden, I saw you had your hand up.
Go for it. All I was going to say is make the comment that he explained it far better than I could have, so I appreciate that.
Thank you. And Jonathan, you may have partially answered my question in your explanation there. Has there been any other solid interest in, leading up to now, in this parcel, but they've been perhaps off-put at a listed price per acre?
We have had some interest in spec. So when we've engaged some of our other pursuits that we've shared before, there's been interest from those parties about acquiring the rest of the land for their own investment. So there is a good value there, but the question and the reason why Wooster Growth and the city of Worcester would be involved in this economic development piece is that we want to direct it to a basic sector use. We have other sites that we don't, I mean, we do advertise, but we don't actively have hope in because they've been vacant for the last 50 years, being for sale at exorbitant prices. They'll probably remain that way until those prices change. We didn't want that fate to befall this after so much investment had gone into it. So the goal was, can we take this from what is right now a CAUV exempted site and do something that's going to help build up the tax base and support that basic sector job growth that puts a bit of positive pressure on wages. And then also the construction piece of it as well. One of the things that we're also seeing in Worcester is our unemployment rate has ticked up to 4.8%, so we haven't seen that since 17, and then before that, the Great Recession, excluding what happened in 2020, which nobody wants to think about. We see the softening job market, and this is an opportunity both in the construction end and the, while those job figures are relatively small, they're commensurate with what we've seen at Worcester Brush and some of our other facilities. But Compact and Worcester Brush also, we've watched their projects that we have tax exempted, and it wasn't intended to be this way, but they had an opportunity to welcome new basic sector jobs, not relocated, because EZ and CRA don't permit spec, but it happened to be the situation worked with the state of Ohio that they were able to change and evolve to have more jobs at their site, basic sector, than they ever intended. So Wooster Brush, they welcomed the Welch Packaging Company. Compact today is also tax exempted at a similar level off Old Hansfield Road. They've been able to support space for KPC, which is a manufacturer that, for all intents and purposes, wouldn't have had another option to stay in our community. So that's all been really good news. So there's that intangible piece that we don't calculate here, but one of the things that we consider when we're looking at this type of massive infrastructure are those long-term uses and possibilities for having that in our community with that type of real estate.
And I think I read in the proposal that this site would not, or this business would not allow, or would not include any sublet.
Correct. It is wholly owned. Every employee in here will be a Jarrett Logistics, Jarrett Companies employee. And part of the reason for that, again, is like CRA and EZ, they explicitly do not allow for speculative building. So, we can provide this tool for warehousing when there's a commitment that that's going to be occupied by space. And those two examples that I mentioned before are things that kind of happened. They're unusual, but those would be the exception. But typically, no, it is designed to be an owner-operator type project when you use these tools, and that's exactly what we have here.
And my final question, thank you for letting me kind of take over for a second, but so I understand that this is going to have solar panels on the roof, which I love. I think that's a great use of that space. Will that power 100% of the warehouse's need? And I know that there's, John Rice and I spoke today about a different business over there and how there is, I don't want to say a shortage of electrical supply in that area, but perhaps for some of the hoped use of one of the buildings that's out in that area. So are they going to be self-sustaining with their electric based on their solar panels?
That and more is the goal. And I can let other experts speak to that better than I can, but that would be a great addition to have on the clean energy front.
Great, yeah.
Of course, council previously updated the zoning regulations to, help make this more possible, and so that's, also something too that was a question very early on was, hey, what does zoning say about that? And we were able to say, hey, well, our city council just did X, Y, and Z, and we're in great shape to help support you.
Thank you.
All right, fantastic. So Unfortunately, due to the abstention of Mr. Jose, we do not have the numbers to suspend rules today, so we are going to have to leave this on first reading, and we're going to have to come and revisit this at our next meeting.
All right, very good. Thank you. With that, we'll move on to ordinance 2025-04, which will also be a Mr. Abernathy legislation. But before that, Mr. Scavelli, if you'll please read it for us.
Ordinance number 2025-04, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Seaman Corporation and 1000 Venture Boulevard LLC for community reinvestment area tax incentives and allowing for immediate enactment.
Mr. Abernathy, the floor is yours.
All right, so this is for the Seaman Corp., and they're going to be doing a similar request for a 75% 10-year exemption to enable the construction of a 10,000 square foot corporate office expansion that would result in the creation of 53 new Wooster jobs with a roughly $2.9 million payroll being created. So this was, I believe, we had done a recommendation on this last year. Mr. Myers, I think you and I were briefly speaking about this earlier, so we think last year we recommended
I
this?
think it was April of last year when we made a letter to support their Ohio Jobs application, if I recall correctly.
Correct.
So I would kick it over to you. I think we had some question about that.
Well, yeah, I guess my only question, first of all, I think the Seaman Corporation has been a wonderful corporate citizen, and I want to support them 110% with what they're planning to do. My only question was, if we approved this for Ohio Jobs last April, why are we waiting a year to get this presented back to us for the CRA?
So as far as that process goes, we had a letter of support with the administration stating that it would recommend this incentive to support this project. And that project then, through last year, went through the state's process, and going into the end of summer, beginning of fall, that was approved on the state level. We've since been coordinating with the company. We've had the application out to them. They have been working through their metrics still, and so recently we did have the application completed and brought to us with those final metrics. That would be involving, when we do these recommendations, we do go through that process. The state likes to give their approvals first, and then afterward, we go through our formal process, but we let the company work through its time and process. So
Okay.
We don't rush that.
Okay.
In the meantime, though, I'll just mention briefly, it did give us time to continue working with ODOT. So a separate aside for us as a city, related to this project, just in the last week? I don't know if we had a chance to give you an update on this, but the Ohio Department of Transportation, Office of Jobs and Commerce, the same group that has helped us out with Daisy Way, has granted us a $250,000 grant for the city to help reconstruct Silver Road, which will provide this facility with improved dual access. So that's kind of nice too when you have the state support actually helping the community. So that's, we're very grateful and thankful for that. And so that was part of, the process as well. Now we do have a TIF that's covering the remainder of that, but this will allow things to speed up much faster. And it'll save the community quite a bit in terms of debt service. And that's, another added opportunity with this, and part of the reason for that time frame.
There was no delay on our side. It was all Seaman Corp's delays that caused, just making clear that, we did everything we could within, in a timely manner.
Yeah, we give the companies the time that they need to make the decisions they need with the applications.
And well done to get that additional $250,000 grant for Silver Road. That's going to be so helpful, so helpful.
Any additional questions or comments? I'll add this, Jonathan, these two were not exactly simple. you got grilled with a lot of questions, so well done tonight. And again, because we do not have the numbers tonight to suspend, I apologize. We cannot suspend rules and pass this evening, so we are going to be forced to leave this one on first, and we will get to it on the next regularly scheduled meeting.
All right, thank you. With that, we'll move on to the next item, Resolution 2025-23. It's a budgeted item, will be introduced by Mr. Gaffey, but Mr. Scavelli read it for us first.
Resolution number 2025-23, a resolution authorizing the Director of Administration to purchase a Sutphen heavy-duty custom pumper and allowing for immediate enactment.
Mr. Gaffey, the floor is yours.
All right, so yeah, this is to replace one of our pump trucks, which is 25 years old. It's definitely at its end of life. We deferred actually putting the order in for this truck back in 2019, 2020 in order to replace our 75-foot aerial on Station 4. This is going to be a sister truck to our existing pump truck, and so anticipation is that training and anything that goes along with that will be able to be minimized and fairly seamless moving forward. So Chief Saley is here if there are any further questions regarding this particular item.
Where will this be located?
This one will go
Which
to
facility?
station number 3.
Okay. Oh, I mean, great.
So, it's currently, the reserve unit is at Station 1, the next oldest is at Station 3. So, the one at Station 3 will rotate down as a reserve, and this will be the first two in Station 3.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions from council? Yes, sir.
I just want to point out that we're looking at, what's the lead time on this?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that part.
36 to 38 months.
Used to be 12 months, and we're at 36 months. And part of the reason for this now is the concern of tariffs potentially having an impact on pricing, so.
Then technically, you should have gone ahead and placed the order in 2019, because we'd just still be paying for it by now.
We've had some interesting conversations with some of the other finance staff below Andre on how we can actually do those things legally, but we have very high standards here, so.
And that's a good thing.
So they're specifically saying that the build time is related to tariffs?
No, the price.
No.
No.
Potentially.
Just the build time is.
I was gonna say, 'cause it-
The concern is that the potential for tariffs, if we don't move on it, and we delay the purchase till later in the year, it may increase.
Oh, yeah,
as we
yeah,
saw in the
no,
past.
yeah, that's expected. As I say, because with 36 to 38 month build time, I mean, they're just digging the ore out of the ground that they're gonna make the frame out of.
Wild.
That is a heck of a long.
In a few months, if
Time.
ACS brings you the replacement vehicle for that vehicle.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
For the,
Anticipation. It's a good thing.
Wow.
So I guess if there's no other questions or further comments, I would put forth a motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt by Mr. Gaffey, is there a
Second.
second? Second by Mr. Myers. Mr. Scavelli, please call the roll and vote.
Mr. Gaffey.
Yes.
Mr. Lance is not here. Mr. Myers.
yes.
Mr. Abernathy.
Yes.
Ms. Knappich.
Yes.
Ms. Warden.
Yes.
Mr. Guzek.
Yes.
All right. We can go order a new truck.
On a good note, we're anticipating the new ladder truck that we did sign in the contract in 2020? In August, so July, August.
Cool. We'll have it just in time for Christmas,
Yeah.
maybe.
Fingers crossed.
All right. Next item is also budgeted, will also be introduced by Mr. Gaffey and Mr. Scavelli, if you'll please read it for us.
Resolution number 2025-24, a resolution authorizing the Director of Administration to purchase new 800 megahertz portable radios and allowing for immediate enactment.
Mr. Gaffey, the floor is yours.
All right, so this is one of those situations where these particular models of radios are being phased out, or they're no longer being maintained by Motorola, so we can't repair them, we can't get new parts for them, accessories, and of course, the new radios aren't compatible with anything that already exists. So we're kind of in a situation where existing radios are 9 years old, it's time to upgrade, and so this is for replacing those particular radios. Now, the reason this is here now is there is a 35% discount available to us as long as we take advantage of it. I believe it's this month, correct? In order to get that 35%. Now, one benefit of this is, I believe, police department still uses the existing radios that we're going to be replacing with the fire department. So some of, all the working radios from the fire department will be able to be used as backups for the time being for PD. So there is a benefit there in terms of, we're not just replacing and getting rid of it. We'll still be able to utilize those for some time with the police department until they're ready to upgrade. So, any questions? Again, Chief Saley's here. All right, if there's no questions, then I would motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt by Mr. Gaffey, is there a second? Mr. Rizet? Mr. Cavilli, please call the roll and vote.
Mr. Huzay.
Yes.
Mr. Gaffey.
Yes.
Mr. Abernathy.
Yes.
Mr. Myers.
Yes.
Ms. Knappich.
Yes.
Mr. Maltz is not here. Ms. Warden.
Yes.
Okay. Last item this evening, Resolution 2025-25. It is budgeted. It will be introduced by Mr. Myers and Mr. Scavelli. If you'll please read it for us.
A resolution number 2025-25, a resolution authorizing the Director of Administration to advertise according to law and enter into a contract with the lowest and best bidder for the operation and maintenance of transportation services and allowing for immediate enactment.
Mr. Myers, the floor is yours.
Thank you. We've been talking about transportation, and I know that, boy, the city's been talking about it way more than we have, weekly, daily, if not more. I had a nice conversation with Mr. White about this particular resolution, and he provided, I think, all council with an overview. We are going to leave this on first reading tonight. We will actually ask for the suspension of the rules at the next meeting, though, so that we can move this forward within the time frame required. But again, with Mr. Malta not here, I want to give everybody a chance to look over this very well-done overview that gives you all the information, kind of get you up to date on where the project is and all the work he's done. Mr. White, if you have anything else to add, we'd love to have you contribute to whatever you want to say. But
I mean, just a little bit for the public and just a kind of quick intro is we are looking to bring in a turnkey transit provider. So bring in a contracted operator to do operating our vehicles, handling all the maintenance requirement on those FTA assets, so that's the Federal Transit Authority. They also will handle the dispatching, and a big thing too is driver training. So there's just a lot of technology, a lot of expertise that we just don't have, so we're looking to pull someone on to bring this to our residents as soon as we can. So just any questions, I'm happy to answer.
I have a quick question. Do we have a location within the city's buildings that we can house this? Because I would imagine that it'll be probably a reasonably small staff, but still there would be people that will need office space.
We do have a location. It's actually the location where the temporary fire station was when the fire station was down. We were looking to utilize that. It's outfitted perfectly for that as far as garage space, little space for drivers and even for dispatch. So, and that's, for those who don't know, by the Wayne County Dog Shelter. There's a building out there.
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
We are fighting with PPM because they're using it for storage for seasonal items right now, but you remember you guys authorized the design build for another storage building, so they're in the process.
and I'll point out, this, today's resolution, this is authorizing Mr. White and the administration to advertise for the bid for the project. We're not spending any money today on behalf of the city, we're just moving the project forward.
And for the record, this is budgeted, so therefore, if we're not going to vote on it this evening, we're going to need to table this.
Yeah, that was my mistake. I appreciate the
Oh,
pointing that out.
okay.
I'm a little green there, but yeah, I don't need that. I just need the second reading.
All right. So I motion to table this till our next meeting.
Okay. Mr. Myers, second by Ms. Knappich. Do we need a roll call vote on that?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Gazay?
Yes.
Mr. Abernathy?
No.
Mr. Gaffey?
No.
Mr. Maltz is not here. Ms. Knappich?
Yes.
Ms. Ward?
No.
So at this point, that is not tabled.
It is not tabled. It is nothing because, yeah, we don't have enough,
Right.
so the motion doesn't pass.
So what do we do?
If there's a motion, at this point, we would need a motion to approve it. And that can either pass or fail, or it can just be left stranded in those two options.
Wouldn't it just get reintroduced in the next meeting?
It could be, but it wouldn't be at this point. It would need someone to affirmatively reintroduce it.
At the next meeting.
Yeah, correct. So if someone wants to make a motion to adopt, that would be probably beneficial at this point.
Does it need to be the sponsor?
It does not.
Motion to adopt?
All right, there's a motion to adopt. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Warden. Mr. Scavelli, please call the motion on the adoption.
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Huzay?
Yes.
Mr. Abernathy?
Yes.
Mr. Gaffey?
Yes.
Mr. Maltz is not here. Ms. Knappich?
Yes.
And Ms. Warden?
Yes.
All right. We can go out and bid some bus driving. Very good. All right.
No, we never got any of this stuff
We'll
planned.
move on to miscellaneous. We have a couple individuals, a couple people that have signed up for that. Mr. Barnett?
Yeah, I had to ask for that.
Good evening, everyone.
The next meeting.
The Tuesday after our last council meeting, beautiful day, I was outside working all day, even up to the dismissal of school. We had an Edgewood student crossing right there at Burbank and Old Man, pressed the button, he had the right of way, 2 cars turning left. Off Old Man onto Burbank, wasn't gonna let that kid cross. So much for pedestrians that had the right of way. Also, I'm picking up my trash cans, there's a girl driving down southbound on Burbank, and she has her hands on the steering wheel with her phone being held up by her 2 thumbs. She just about reared in to a car that was stopped in front of my house. Red lights don't cause accidents, though. That's what you said. People, distracted drivers cause accidents. Anyway, have a good St. Patrick's. Don't drink too much green beer, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mrs. Barnett?
Hi, guys. I haven't been here in a while because I've had to work. I work at Bueller's Milltown. I'm a cashier. Some of you guys see me, some of you don't. The other day, we had started out, I was cashier, and we had a whole bunch of people come up because they know that we're fighting the roundabout. And we had a really good discussion at work, at Bueller's, about the roundabout. The majority of people feels that the roundabout is a stupid idea. In the last 10 years, I think they said, what, there's been maybe 8 accidents in the last 10 years? I sit at my window every day, and the mayor said something about you guys are gonna be building a whole bunch of houses. I honestly don't feel that that is going to affect Old Man and Winkler. I think it would affect more Milltown and Oak Hill. And if our unemployment is up to 4 point something, are we gonna have, or is every house gonna have people in every house?
Okay.
I mean, you're wanting the roundabout built. We don't want the roundabout built. It's not a safety issue. If there was a safety issue, then I would be for it. But every day I see people crossing the street, and now more people is out walking because it's so beautiful. People are walking their dogs, kids are out walking to and from school, people walking with their babies. We don't need a roundabout. We just really don't need a roundabout. And I know that you guys, I think, are gonna vote on it next meeting.
No, we probably won't vote on this till September, because the next course of action related to this topic is going to be acquisition of property, which at this point is not scheduled till September. Now, it could happen sooner, but under the current schedule, that's the plan.
There is a conversation prior to the next meeting.
Yeah, April 7th, we're having a meeting. It's not really going to be a committee meeting, it's going to be really more of a public conversation about this, yes.
Is that gonna be like what happened in the last meeting where two people talked the whole time? It was an hour and 15 minutes, and they didn't let the public talk?
I hope not.
So you're gonna guarantee, sir, that,
I'm not going to guarantee anything.
that we're gonna, so you're.
Well, I'm sorry.
No, I apologize, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Is it a work session again?
Yes.
Okay.
It is the goal. My goal for it is to allow the public to come in briefly. I'm not allowing any grandstanding for this meeting, but if anybody would like to come up here and speak for a couple of moments and share their opinion on it, that would be very welcome.
Okay, so you're gonna, okay.
Yeah, there will be,
You called for it.
exactly. There will be a couple of people that will be here to answer questions, should there be questions that they can answer, but I'm also not asking council to be prepared to give any response. This is just for us to hear people out.
Well, you know, I'm glad you guys are letting me talk, and then you guys are talking, I appreciate that. I really do. Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
Okay. I was told that the buses in Worcester aren't running anymore. Is that the black buses, is the black buses still running in Worcester?
Go ahead.
I
don't know what she's talking about, so you're on there.
Because we was told at Bueller's, because we have people that ride the buses to and from to work, we was told that the buses shut down. And one of the meetings I'd come to, you guys had said that the buses were running. So
Yeah.
is that a miscommunication?
No, Share Mobility is still operating. They stop at both Bueller's right now, and it might not be the black bus every time. I think these buses are running all the time, so they do be pulled off for regular maintenance. But there's a white bus, I think I saw today.
So it's the white buses now, it's not the black buses anymore?
It varies, and sometimes you might see a smaller, like oversized van. It just depends.
Okay, so then because I can tell my boss then that the buses are still running, because they was going to try to get different transportation for our employees. So now, what about the taxi service? We was told that one of the taxi services are shutting down in Worcester. Can I ask that question, is that correct?
All we do is subsidize taxi services, so any taxi service that participates in our plan, that's still happening right now. If individual taxi service chooses on their own to not provide transportation, that's out of our.
That they're private owners.
Okay. Thank you.
Good questions.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Huzay, any additional comments this evening?
No. Let's get home, have a happy.
Mr. Abernathy?
I'll just make it quick. Thank you for allowing me to miss the last meeting. I had a chance to go to Washington DC and had a chance to briefly speak with Senator Moreno, and it was a good interaction with him, and it's always good to go out and parade Worcester to our officials in DC. So thank you again for excusing me from last meeting. It was a great time.
Very good. Ms. Knappich?
Couple things I want to say. I reached out to Phil about the transportation and got the presentation. It was very helpful. Unfortunately about the snafu, but I'm glad we got it done. You guys have done a really nice job, and I appreciate that. And I think the transportation system is going to be really exceptional for this driver to do. The second thing I want to say is congratulations to Detective Guy Brennemar, because he was also awarded when they did the swearing in of the new, very young, in my eyes, police officers. He was awarded the Patrolman of the Year or the Officer of the Year, he's a detective, for 2024. And for his hard work that he did on it, was a murder investigation, correct? So I just wanted to give a shout out to him and his family, and thanks for all their hard work, and welcome to the new officers.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Gaffey?
Just good news about Chief Fisher. Thank you for sharing that and keeping us updated. Other than that, I don't really have anything else tonight.
All right, Ms. Warden?
Thank you, and yeah, I'd like to echo that. I'm really pleased to hear. I was actually reading over Joel's comments last Friday, and it said that Chief Fisher was still in ICU, so that was really a wonderful piece of news to share tonight, Mr. Rotolo. Thank you. And I was able to finally make my way down to the Lyric Theater recently. It's fantastic. Yeah, I'm very proud to see that here in our community, and I look forward to enjoying many movies down there. The last thing I have to say is Happy St. Patrick's Day. Great to spend it with you all.
Thank you. Mr. Myers?
Thank you, President Sanders. A couple of things. One, I'm all for the transportation thing. I was tabling it because we thought that was going to be the okay thing to do, and I was going on the recommendation of our administration, so I don't want anybody to think that I wasn't in favor of it. I certainly am. I'm happy to have passed it tonight, so that's great. On the Jarrett Logistics, again, I plan to support that as well. One of the concerns I have is that in the past, the administration has presented warehousing projects as non-basic sector employment, and in fact have recommended we not approve some tax abatements because they were non-basic sector. And now we have a warehouse project that is being presented as basic. I would approve this from Jarrett if it was non-basic. I think that it's going to be a good project, so I don't care what we call it. I have a problem with them changing what they present to us. So that was really not a reflection of the project, just kind of the application. And then other thing, I think one of the things I had brought up that we didn't address, I want to make sure we do, was the cost per acre. Having talked to the WEDC and done some research with local real estate people, and also looking up the FedEx property, was around $32,000 an acre. So it was pretty comparable to where we are with this property. I think that our prices are competitive. There's a creek running through part of that lot, which is going to have to be mitigated in some way to be able to develop the other part. So there's, I think, some real good reasons for the parcel remaining together. I think the price that we negotiated is within reason. I think I called out that I was concerned that it was low, but I don't think that it is. So I just want to clear that up. And also, I'm so happy that Chief Fisher's taken a turn out of the ICU. It's just no fun to be in the ICU. I don't care where, but I'm glad he's in good hands down there, and look forward to getting him back up here to talk with us all again. So with that, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, second by Ms. Knappich. All in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you.
See, my question, why would they include that? It doesn't have the infrastructure, it has a creek, and if the terrain is not built.
Why would Worcester growth, or why would
Why would
Jarrett?
Worcester growth? And because now for them to pick up, I understood, I might have understood it,